When we actually looked at the statements, the bank statements, we realised that it wasn't matching up with the information they'd given. Okay. So it was really important to do the due diligence, look at the numbers, look at the bank statements, check that everything was the right amount of money was being transferred. So from a business aspect, we saw that there were discrepancies between it.
During the process, she did share with me when she'd got people coming round to view, and she said like their reasons for viewing and what they were like, and yeah, there were people she turned away at the door. Very nervous initially, emotions were all over the place, but they put me at ease straight away. Obviously they asked if I'd got any questions, and initially it was like, why are you going into early years, why us? And just from that very moment it reassured me that they were in it for the right reasons.
I definitely would recommend it if there's too much riding on it. In terms of finances, the bank wouldn't have given the money if we didn't pass it. Also, at the end of the day, you're looking after children. Parents are trusting you to look after their children for a very long part of the day. Some children are coming at 8 or 6. They're putting their trust in you. You need to take that responsibility to say, actually, I want to make sure that these children are safe, my staff are safe, they're all working according to guidelines to provide the best sort of childcare for the children. That it can impact your family life. It's never really, the buck always stops with you. So if something goes wrong, it's always with you, that you always need to be available to fix that.
Today, I'm at Bookworms Daycare in Birmingham, and this episode is a little bit different. Usually when we talk about open nursery, people think about starting from scratch, finding a building, setting everything up, registering with Ofsted and building from zero. But today's story is about buying an existing nursery. So we're going to be talking about what it's really like to take over a setting that already has children, families, staff and systems in place. We'll be looking at the buyer's perspective, why they chose to buy a nursery, what the process was like, what they learned from due diligence, balancing nursery ownership alongside other responsibilities and preparing for Ofsted as a new provider. But we're also going to hear it from the nursery manager, which I think is really important, because when a nursery changes ownership, it doesn't just affect the buyer, it affects the staff team, the children, the families and the people inside the nursery. So this should be a really valuable conversation for anyone thinking about buying a nursery, opening one, or understanding what change of ownership actually looks like behind the scenes. So let's go inside and meet the team. So we're here at Bookworms Nursery. Want to introduce yourselves?
So I'm Ruba, I'm one of the directors and I run it with my husband.
And I'm Kylie, nursery manager.
So what does your role look like on the nursery?
So I'm here on a day-to-day basis, obviously here supporting the staff, ensuring all policies and procedures are covered, including safeguarding, health and safety. I support staff wellbeing and any CPD training for any staff as well.
So we oversee the staff, any decisions that need to be made, the pay slip, any sort of support for the staff, and then any decisions that Kylie needs help with, we support all of that.
So you bought the nursery and Kylie was a manager before?
Yeah.
How did that relationship develop?
So first we met the owner when we were going to look at it, and she was great. She basically explained to us that they're quite a close-knit family, they all really get along, they all really support each other. So then once we had decided to buy the nursery, we met Kylie first. We went for coffee and kind of spoke to her what her worries were if we took over and what she'd like to do and things like that. So we met Kylie first, and then we met the other two managers, and then after it all gone through, we met the rest of the team.
So do you think that meeting was important?
I think it was important for us so we could get to know Kylie, to see what her thoughts were. I think it's really important for Kylie because she's been here for so long. They basically started the nursery all together, so it was a big change for them. So I think it's important to reassure her that we're not going to come in and change everything and change everyone's roles and things like that. And we just kind of wanted to step in and support them.
How did you feel going into that meeting, Kylie?
Very nervous. Yeah, it was the unknown. But no, from day one, the reassurance was there from them both. You could see that their heart was in it, and their ethos and culture behind what they wanted from a nursery is what we'd got. And just that gave me reassurance that they were the right people.
What do you think was the key thing that put you at ease?
Just them as people and their reasons behind coming into nurseries.
What made you first want to get involved in opening a nursery?
So my husband was more keen at the beginning. I'm a GP, so we both wanted to branch out from our careers to kind of try something a bit different on top of our careers. We've got 2 young children, so we were aware how nurseries work. And then during COVID, we had to homeschool one of them, so I knew about the EYFS because I had to teach her, which was joyous. So between the both of us, and we've got family who've got nurseries, we thought that this would be a good venture because we have young kids. We know what parents would like. We'd want to support other children with their education as well.
Do you think you would have found it more challenging if you hadn't had that EYFS knowledge beforehand?
Definitely, because I think as parents, we've been through the system. We've looked at nurseries. Our own children went through nurseries. They're now 9 and 6, so we've been through the education system. So I think if we weren't parents, it would have been quite difficult to know how it works and also alleviate parents' anxiety, what they're looking for in a nursery from a parent point of view.
Yeah.
So I think it was useful for us.
So in terms of buying a nursery, why did you decide to buy it instead of starting from scratch?
So I think because it was our first nursery, we felt that it'd be good to take on a nursery that already had a structure in place, a really good team, really good management. So then we could learn the skills of the organisational side of it. Whereas I think starting from scratch, it would have been quite difficult to learn how to run a nursery, build up the children, the families, and the team as well. So we felt for our first nursery, it's probably would be more confident to step in one that's already working really well.
So how did the process look like when you were trying to find a nursery to buy?
So we went and saw a lot of nurseries up and down the country. So we were looking around, then we met the owners, looked around the actual nursery, found out why people wanted to sell the nursery, and different nurseries we got a good feel for. Some of them were quite far distance-wise, and we've got a young family, so it'd be difficult to manage it if it was really far away.
Was it actually easy to find the nurseries?
It took a while. I think it took like a year or 2 years to kind of find the right nursery for us that we thought that it'd be good for us and that we could gel with the team and that we would enjoy running.
You mostly just looked online and then just viewed it and spoke to the owners.
Yeah, so we looked online and then we do visits. So we'd go and see the nursery. My husband would go first and then I would go as well. And then sometimes we even took the kids to have a look around the local area if it wasn't within the West Midlands to kind of see which one would be good.
So when you look at a nursery, what were the sort of red flags you were looking at? And what were the things that made you think, okay, I really want this nursery?
So one of the things was agency staff. If there's a lot of a turnover, we weren't really interested. We wanted a nursery that had regular staff that had been there long term, because then you knew that they knew the kids, they were enjoying their job. We didn't want something that we'd have to keep searching for staff. Another thing was the area, why the owners were selling. So some of them were telling us that they wanted to retire, but actually they were opening a bigger nursery down the road. So we had that. And so getting to know the owners, that was how much like level 3 trained staff there were, how many staff there were, how many kids there were there waiting lists, what the Ofsted report was as well.
I guess the staffing is important because it takes a lot of stress away from yourself.
100%. Like if the staff run it and they can do everything, we're just there as support. Yeah. Whereas if the staff need us to be there every day, it's a lot more stress on us.
So before starting the nursery journey, what did you think the nursery ownership would look like?
A lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. Learning a completely different role to kind of do. I've never run a business before, so learning that aspect of it, how to manage staff, how to manage parents. So I've been on the other end of it. So I think trying to learn that and then learning how to run the business to still provide a great service to the kids, but it is still a business at the end of the day. So trying to get that balance.
So has your expectation matched your reality?
I think it has, because we've got a great staff. We've got great leadership. They work really well as a team together. They all know how to work together. They know the children amazingly well, and they've really welcomed us and support us. So when we don't know, we know we can turn to the managers to be like, what do we do? What's the right thing to do? And they'll give us their experience. So I think that's helped us a lot.
I can see that already, just being here 5 to 10 minutes. The bond that everyone has, yeah, it's a nice bond that everyone has. Even the previous owner still being here helping out. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we're lucky. We're lucky.
So I know you was going ahead with another purchase beforehand, but it didn't go ahead because of due diligence. What did that teach you?
So when we actually looked at the statements, the bank statements, we realised that it wasn't matching up with the information they'd given. Okay. So it was really important to do the due diligence, look at the numbers, look at the bank statements, check that everything was the right amount of money was being transferred. So from a business aspect, we saw that there were discrepancies between it. So we felt that it wasn't the right place for us.
So it was really important to check all the documents that they give you just to make sure that everything's matching up.
Yeah, so go through it all, do the research, check online, check the accounts, check the audited accounts, the unaudited accounts, the bank statements, just to make sure that nothing else is going on that you didn't know about.
So in that scenario, the profit and loss looked good, but the bank statements...
The bank statements didn't match, and there was money coming from other sources that weren't meant to be coming into the bank accounts. So It made it look better than it was. Yeah.
It's lucky that you spotted that.
Yeah.
So what other things do you think buyers should check before looking to buy a nursery?
I think so. Checking the premises, checking why the owner's selling it, checking the Ofsted reports, checking how often the team change, the managers, how long the manager's been working there, how many agency staff, the waiting list, how many children are waiting to go. And then you can check Google reviews. That gives you an honest opinion of what the parents really think.
And so this nursery purchase here had a lot of positives on that aspect.
Yeah, so it had lots of positives from the team. The staff, most of them have been there for over 10 years and they're all family. They all know each other. They all live locally, which is also good. So in that way, it was really positive.
So Kylie, I really want to bring in your perspective as well as a manager. So when you found out that owner was initially selling, how did you react to that?
It was hard, very hard. Obviously, like I said, I've been here a very long time, started from scratch. And yeah, it was upsetting. But at the same time, her reasons for doing it, I knew was obviously genuine. And she just reassured me at the time that she wasn't going to let just anybody buy the nursery, and it would have to be the right people for us as a setting, the staff and the children.
So was there other people that came along that she felt wasn't the right?
Yes, obviously during the process, she did share with me when she'd got people coming round to view, and she said like their reasons for viewing and what they were like. And yeah, there were people she turned away at the door.
And do you think that openness is important for you as a manager?
It was. No, I respected her openness with me, and that was just a relationship we'd had from day one, to be honest. But yeah, we'd got that openness up until the end.
So do you think you'd have been more apprehensive about the purchase if you hadn't been given pre-warning about it?
Yes, I probably would have done, yeah.
I see a lot of nursery owners that are selling, they don't actually tell their staff, and they try to keep it hush because they don't want to upset their staff. But you would recommend being open?
Definitely be open and honest. Even if it's not the whole staff team, just let the manager know, and obviously she can go through that process with you, and obviously there to support one another as well.
And was you aware that she had already told staff that they already?
Yeah, we knew she was going to tell the managers, so we knew that. But I think that's fair enough because they're the ones that are going to be helping us go through it. So if they have an itch they absolutely hate us, it's not really going to work out, is it?
No, that's good. It's good to hear from someone inside as well. So I always try to recommend people to be honest and open, especially with their staff, because it's a big change, and obviously everyone's going to be anxious about it. So telling people early just reduces that anxiety. So Kylie, what was your first impressions of Ruba in time?
So no, honestly, the first time I met them, obviously I was very, very nervous.
I know it's difficult to say with first sitting here, but you can be as honest as possible.
No, very nervous initially. Emotions were all over the place, but they put me at ease straight away. Obviously, they asked if I'd got any questions. And initially it was like, why are you going into early years? Why us? And just from that very moment, it reassured me that they were in it for the right reasons, and they had those same beliefs and that ethos as what we were already embedding in nursery. And from then I knew they were the right people.
What was worrying you? So you said about they had the right ethos. So what sort of ethos was you really of?
Just coming in and changing things. Obviously, we knew that obviously we're a good setting. We've been consistently good. We've got good reviews, and we didn't want anybody to come in and maybe change things and potentially put our reviews and the way we are any lower. I suppose change how we work and what we believe in.
I guess you've got a really tight team and you've been together for a long time, so any negative impact could really upset that.
It could, yeah. And it was about obviously the families and parents as well. I wanted obviously them answers to obviously share with those as well.
So how did you feel that the transition would have been from your expectations compared to what actually happened?
So I think the transition went really well. Obviously, initially I was like, how is this going to work? What is it going to look like? It was just that unknown, but that transition, I think, hopefully I'm speaking for you as well, but it went really smooth, and they just reassured us all throughout.
Was it a long process from when you first met Ruba and to when they actually took over?
No, a couple of months. I think it was 2 months from that initial meeting to it being taken over, yeah.
Has been running smoothly since?
Absolutely, yeah.
How have the new owners supported you as a manager and other managers in the setting?
So they've been really supportive in the respect of they've taken all our considerations on board. The opportunities they're putting in place in regards to staff CPD, staff progression, and they've just listened as well to how we work, what we do, and if there's any ways they feel we could improve that, they've suggested things and they've listened in respect of what we think of suggestions. whether we go with it, whether we don't. They've always respected what we want to work towards.
And I guess sometimes coming in with fresh energy as well helps to boost everyone. Have you felt that?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Those fresh eyes are always good.
What changes have they both made that's made the biggest impact in the sector?
I think the opportunities for staff CPD and staff progression, obviously they're really supportive in supporting staff with any specific training, any interests they've got and how they can embed that in nursery. And yeah, staff obviously moving into progression and what they enjoy doing.
And both of you, how did families react to the change of ownership?
They were very unsure initially, like we all was, again, because the previous owner had got such of an impact within the nursery. She was here a lot, so obviously she was a member of staff as well. So they did have their concerns and their worries. But I think obviously as time's gone on and those meetings have taken place with you guys, it has reassured the parents as well that.
So was the previous owner the manager before?
No, I was still the manager. She obviously director, but she was on site a lot, supporting staff and doing other bits and bobs where she obviously met families.
So did you meet with the parents to bridge that gap?
In the first few weeks with them, they did a parents' evening. So it was over 3 nights. Yeah. So then we met a lot of the parents then. And then we've got a few events coming up as well. So hopefully we'll meet them. And then we see them at pickup when they come to get the children. We recently had some chicks that were born. So that brought a lot of kids' interest. So, and a lot of parents were liking that on things like Facebook and things like that. So slowly each day we get to know them and we see them.
How did you balance working as a GP and owning the nursery?
So I've been in high pressure environments before, so it's just a matter of balancing them both with family life. But to be honest, we've got a really great team of managers, so we don't have to be as hands-on because we trust them. So if they need anything, they'll WhatsApp us, they'll call us. If we need to be here, me and my husband don't work that far away, so we can come and help. And then we just support them as much as we can. So
it hasn't been like a major increase in workload. You manage to manage both quite well.
Yeah, so because it's both of us doing it together, we take different aspects of it and work together, and then between the three of us, we try to manage it.
So what was the Ofsted registration process like for someone taking over a nursery?
So it was quite stressful because we'd got over the hurdle of buying the nursery and the finances, but we had to pass this. So my husband went through it and I would help him with the questions. He was staying up late at night doing modules, practicing. Kylie is very supportive. He wheeled her into practice as well. So it was stressful because it took a lot of time to know exactly, and you never really know what they're going to ask. So that was the main hurdle we had to get over. Once everything got through, we knew all the staff, but we had to pass that. So I think that was probably one of the most stressful parts of it.
What sort of things did you do to prepare for it?
Practice questions. I think my husband spoke to you about it to get some help. He did a mock interview. He spoke to Kylie about it. So I think he got information from lots of different resources to get support and feel more confident about it.
When they came, what was that process like? Because normally in registration visits, it would just be with the owner. I'm assuming the nursery was open at the time. What did that look like?
So yeah, the nursery was open, and myself and Mahinton went through the process, and it was a really positive process, to be honest with you. Obviously, it was both very nervous, the big O and everything, but no, she did make us feel at ease, and yeah, supported us throughout the way.
So the Ofsted inspector spoke to you as well?
She did, yeah.
So what sort of questions did they ask you?
Just general, like about my background, how long I'd worked here, but then she allowed me to get involved with certain questions about the nursery as such, and what we do to encourage this and what we do to encourage that, and what safeguarding looks like for us. So no, it was a team effort, and yeah, we did really well.
So in terms of Ofsted's registration visit, how was the focus? Was it mostly on Mahinton, the owner, or was you able to support a lot?
So a lot of it was focused on Mahinton. Obviously, it covered a lot of safeguarding, safer recruitment, staff wellbeing. But there were occasions where she allowed me to jump in regards to the curriculum and our ethos and how we work within nursery.
How do you think Mahinton done with the questions?
Amazing. He did very, very well, yeah. He did a lot of research beforehand, as Ruba's already said. He obviously put a lot of effort into looking into the early years foundation stage alongside the training and the mocks with yourself. But no, he did do really, really well. You can tell he worked really hard.
How did you find the mock inspections? Did you find it useful?
Yeah, he found it really useful because I think I'm from a medical background, so I've done safeguarding and been experienced with it, whereas for him it's completely different. So he learned all about it. He did modules, he did the mock, he went through questions. We used ChatGPT and websites to practice lots of questions. He put in a lot of hard work and a lot of hours to do it. So yeah, he found it all really useful.
So he comes from a background, nothing to do with childcare, so he doesn't have no safeguarding experience like EYFS. So was that a big learning curve for him?
I think it probably was, yeah, because with the EYFS curriculum, I spent most of the time teaching the girls, so I was quite familiar with it. So I think that was an opening thing for him. In terms of safeguarding, yeah, he'd never had any experience of it, and so I think that he definitely learned a lot on how to manage it, what the right protocols were. So I think it was a big learning curve for him, yeah.
He did try to persuade you to nominate an individual.
Not for the Ofsted. So in terms of safeguarding, I said I would do that and I'd support him with that because I have the experience of it. But for the Ofsted, he had to do it. So he went with it.
So what would you say to someone that thinks they could just wing the Ofsted inspection?
I definitely would recommend it if there's too much riding on it. In terms of finances, the bank wouldn't have given the money if we didn't pass it. Also, at the end of the day, you're looking after children. It's parents are trusting you to look after their children for a very long part of the day. Some children are coming at 8 or 6. So they're putting their trust in you. So you need to take that responsibility to say, actually, I want to make sure that these children are safe. My staff are safe. They're all working according to guidelines to provide the best sort of childcare for the children. Because at the end of the day, that's what everyone's here for, is to provide a great service to the kids and see them develop. So the Ofsted is a process to make sure that you're doing that correctly. You can take it as a positive thing, as a learning thing to kind of learn from if we have missed anything. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't say to wing it.
And I'm sure it must have encouraged you as well, knowing that he had put in that effort.
Absolutely, yeah. It gave me that reassurance again that they are both here, obviously, for the reasons they gave to me initially, and they are the right people.
So what advice would you give to someone that's thinking about buying a nursery, especially around due diligence and what they could do to make it successful?
I think do your research, find out why you want to do it, where you want to do it, that the location's the right place, the nursery is the right place, what you want to get out of it. I think doing it as a couple has been great because we can do it as a team, we can bounce off each other. And then actually visiting the nursery, meeting the owner, seeing if you gel with them and how likely you're going to gel with the team. Because there were some nurseries that we looked at that we just felt the owners ran it in a way that we wouldn't want to run it, very looking at profits and making money and not really looking at the care for the children. Whereas I think because we are parents, we have that insight that we want the kids to be treated well and then come to nursery and enjoy it.
So Kylie, what advice would you give to owners who are thinking about purchasing a nursery, about how they should engage with management and stuff like that?
So the advice I'd give was to research into the type of nursery it is, what their curriculum looks like, to be able to go in and support staff with how they're working. Tap into staff, see what their interests are, if they want any progression within the setting, and obviously support staff throughout that process.
So how important is having the right manager in place before purchasing a nursery?
I think it's really important, especially for your first nursery, because we're learning off them. They know the staff, they know the temperament of the staff, they know which staff work well together, who doesn't. Because obviously it's a big team, it's a lot of women, so you need to manage all their emotions, what they prefer, what would make them anxious, what would build their confidence. So I think with a manager that knows the staff really well, that helps. She also has a really good relationship with the parents and with the children, and we could see that when parents come. So I think that reassured us that actually we can take the lead from her and she'll support us in making decisions. And if we are wrong, she'll say, no, I don't actually agree with that, which is important to call us out as well, because we're learning and we're learning to work together as a team.
And have they taken a lot of teaching?
No, I wouldn't say they've taken a lot of teaching. They've been very flexible in sharing thoughts and things and sharing my opinions on things as well. So that's good.
Is there anything that surprised you since taking over the nursery?
I think it's small things like day to day, like things breaking, like the printer breaking, or things being needed to fix within the nursery, like the sink or any leaks, and then having to call plumbers, painters, trying to get them in, trying to get them to fit in a time when the nursery's closed and the children aren't here. We've had issue with the bins where they won't collect the waste, so that's collected. One time the bin man actually put the bin in and then it got swallowed. So Mylan's been doing skip runs to empty the bins on a Sunday evening. So I think it's the fact that it can impact your family life. It's never really, the buck always stops with you. So if something goes wrong, it's always with you, that you always need to be available to fix that. So another thing was seeing the relationship of the staff with the parents, the way that they really know the parents, they know their whole family background, and how important that is for the parents to have that relationship with the practitioner. And I think it's reassuring when they pick their child up at the end of the day, the practitioner can tell you everything about that child, their emotions, what they've been eating, how they've been and their temperament, but they also know how the extended family and how that family situation is at home, which has been really good insight for us to get to know the families, because they'll say, Mum and Dad do this, they've got a sibling, this is how they work. And so that's been really nice to see that they've got such a great relationship with the families.
And how long have you taken over Nursery from?
3 months.
What have been some of the most rewarding things that you've seen?
I think getting to know the team. We've done a couple of nights out, team nights out, and that's been really fun. Seeing a side of them outside of the nursery setting. We've done meetings and had meals with them, so I think they're slowly not as nervous. When we first met them, all the staff were really quiet. When we walked in, they were very much like, hello, how are you? And now we're actually having banter with them, having a chat with them, seeing what they're really like. And I think that's been great to see. The kids are getting to know us, they get to know our kids say that some of the children are their friends and they're talking about them, and then the children recognizing us, and there's quite big characters in the nursery that you can recognise. So I think that's really sweet to kind of get to know them as well.
What have you enjoyed about the Takeover?
Getting to know them, sharing the new fresh ideas that they've got, and just developing the relationship between us all.
So you mentioned future plans about purchasing a new nursery. What sort of things would you look for in a new setting?
I think we'd be open now to probably take on a nursery with a bit more risk, so maybe a nursery that has more chance for us to make some own changes. So this nursery was working really well, the staff worked really well. I think maybe if we had a nursery that wasn't open as long, we'd be more confident in changing that and extending the hours, and getting some of the staff from here to come and support us. So I think in that way we have a bit more confidence because we know how it works.
So you really think taking over this nursery has given you confidence to continue to purchase others?
Yeah, I think because we've had such a great team and lots of support, I think it gives us the confidence that we could do another one because we have the backup to get help if we needed to. And
would you ever open a nursery from scratch, or would you continuously look to purchase?
I think in the future, probably not at the moment, just because we have a young family ourselves, and I think that would be a lot of work. So I think in the future, you never say no, but for now, probably not.
Thank you for that. It was very insightful. So if you're happy, do you want to show me around? Yeah, have a look at the nursery. So what room are we in right now?
So we're currently in our 0 to 2s. This is our little caterpillar room.
Yeah. And how came up with the name Caterpillar? Do you know the history behind that?
So the building before it was initially opened as a nursery was a library. So we tried to keep in with a theme of books and children's stories. So after the Very Hungry Caterpillar, we named this room.
Oh, so that's where the Bookworm Daycare comes from.
Yes.
I know now. So this is for the baby. Is there any resource that they really gravitate to, that like their favourite resource in here?
So they really enjoy the sand at the minute. The current cohort we've got love anything messy, and whether the sand's in the sand tray or in a tough tray on the floor, they love getting stuck in. We've got an area over there where we focus on lots of natural objects and sensory toys, and they love having a go in there and enjoying the musical instruments as well.
The sections in the room are very clear. Who designed it?
So this has been within this design for quite a while. All the staff within the room get together, share their ideas and their thoughts on how the room can work for the children that they've got, and then just change things around as and when they feel needed.
And in terms of sleeping, they sleep in here as well?
They do, yeah.
And has there been anything that the owners have changed in this room at all?
No.
It's all been your ideas?
Stayed the same.
Okay. And so where else would you like to take me?
So we've got our room just through here, which is our 2 to 3s.
So I just noticed the sensory board. I really like that. Whose idea was that?
A lot of staff get their ideas from the internet and different places, and this was seen, and yeah, we put it together, and yeah, the children love it, enjoy testing the door handles, pinging the door stops and playing with the switches.
I really like that because you can see it's been made. I know online you can buy them for like £100, £200. I'm sure this is just as good.
Absolutely. yeah.
Oh wow, I just noticed this wall. So what can you tell me about the stories behind this?
So this is probably one of the proudest areas within the nursery. When children move on to big school or nursery schools or even change rooms, we have a lot of gifts sent in. And as you can see from here, these are a range of gifts sent in from our parents, and it's just something we enjoy to display, allow parents to view them. And again, a reminder for staff just about how proud we are
And how
of what
appreciated they
everybody's
are.
done. Yeah.
Now, each one is just unique. Do you have a favourite one? I got a favourite. My favourite's the book.
The book.
Yeah.
This book. I do like the Lego pieces.
Yeah.
It's about building blocks, isn't it? And about, say, building children develop and grow.
Do parents compete at all?
I don't think so.
Like, I want to get mine on the wall.
Well, maybe. They've not ever shared that with us, but yeah, now you've said it, they might come in, look at that and think, how can I top that?
Do you remember what was the first one?
This one. Yeah, this one you've got to blur out.
Yeah. And what are some of the newer ones?
So this is one of the newer ones, I believe, and this one. This was just last year. That one's quite sweet as well, being a rainbow.
Yeah.
He was a COVID baby, that child in particular. So yeah, they all mean something really special to us, and we're proud of them all.
Oh, it's a beautiful collection.
So yeah, we've got our 2 to 3 just through here, which is our little bears from the Bear Hunt story.
What's this room called, sorry?
Little bears.
Little bears.
Yeah, from the Bear Hunt story.
Yeah.
Again, same as baby room. As you can see, things are available at the children's level, so they can access things throughout their own interests. As children move up into the different age groups, the rooms do become that bit more focused in regards to that child-led side of things and adult-led side of things.
So what does that look like?
So that can be tabletop activities, extensions to the adult intentions and learning intentions, an increase in time when they do their circle time, just to increase their concentration and develop their understanding of time. And yeah, I've lost it.
What do the demands look like changing from a baby room to a toddler room?
The demands, it can differ, again, depending on what children you've got. Obviously, you can come, everybody knows the terrible twos, and that can be a challenge sometimes. Yeah. But again, depending on children that have moved through from such a young age, they are used to all the staff, they are familiar with the environment, so they just tend to fall in with our routine, our cultural capital and our British values, and they flow. Usually time, obviously, their development and that flow throughout the nursery pretty well.
I want to ask a question about expectation from parents. Whether there's difference between baby room and toddlers. Is there been, or is there more difference between when babies to preschoolers?
Babies to preschoolers, because preparing them to go into school in there, isn't it? And it's that attachment and that bond. So
babies, there's not much difference between babies and toddlers. So I'll ask it in the preschool room.
Not really, no.
Yeah, no boy. So, and in this room, is there a resource that the toddlers gravitate to that is really a popular item?
So yeah, at the minute, they really like these sketchboards. So they can just draw and erase their own images and things on there, and it allows them to develop those obviously fine motor skills as well as their creativity as well. So yeah, that's something they really enjoy at the minute.
So we'll go to the preschool room?
Yeah, so we've got our preschool room down here, which is our Gruffaloes from the Gruffalo story.
So in the preschool room, what is the transition like from the toddler room to the preschool?
So that transition between the two is, there's a lot of focus on it, because moving over into the preschool room, it's a lot more structured than obviously the toddlers and the baby room. It's a lot more focused on school readiness and preparing the children onto the next steps of school life.
So one concern that a lot of nursery owners have, and people that work in nursery in general, is the challenge of preparing them for school and the expectation from parents. So how has the expectation changed from the baby room, or what parents want in the baby room, to when they reach preschool?
So obviously a focus for parents in baby room is that for obviously children to come in, their babies to come in and settle and bond with us and develop those attachments with staff. And the older the children get, obviously those bonds obviously have developed. And once they become a preschooler, it is about getting that child ready to go on to school. And we have good, close relationships with local schools. We attend transition training and meetings with local schools to help obviously support and put parents at ease in regards to that.
So you don't have a worry about losing children to preschools at all?
No.
Yeah. And again, resources in here? What do children gravitate to?
Anything messy, usually water in here, and a lot of mark making. And they love them paint pens that are out just there, making a mess and developing marks, and expressive arts and design.
So obviously there's a big focus on reading. We call Bookworms and every room's focused on a book. How does that filter into your curriculum?
So we're involved with our local authority, and it's called REAL, so you've got Raising Early Achievements in Literacy, and it's a thing we implement in nursery. Staff attend training to help incorporate that, and that starts the early development of reading.
Yeah.
We take part in Nursery Rhyme Week. Children have learning books to go home, and we have got as well a little learning library that children can have a look through and take books home.
Oh, that's nice. And then to the garden?
Yep.
You usually use this space?
This space is usually, so them like roadwork things, we set them up with all the cars and bikes. Obviously that's cleared because the cars and bikes are out. You've got the nurture nest, but yeah, it's all is our breakout space. All children enjoy having access to this, but it is that area where if there's any children struggling with any emotions, struggling to regulate any feelings, they have that time where they can come in here with a member of staff and have that chill out space.
Oh, this is a really nice space. It's a really nice idea. How long have you had this for?
So we've had this just over a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite new, but the children love it out here, and it has worked in regards to helping children settle their emotions, or even with any new starters that we've got, just obviously for that distraction and to help them settle and think of.
No, I love this space. Does it help with SEN children as well?
Yeah, that was the reason we purchased this.
Yeah.
Because that particular cohort at the time, we did have quite a few children who were struggling with their development. And it did really support them and help them develop growth within their milestones and development.
No, it's really nice, and thank you for showing me around.
No problem.
What are your plans for the spaces in any of the rooms going forward?
So it's all currently working really well. So no plans at the minute for any changes, but I come together with the team often and we have those chats, and if there is anything they would like changing, then those changes will be made. Okay,
and thank you for showing me around again.
No problem.
So that was Bookworms Daycare, and I think this episode gives such an important perspective, because buying a nursery is not just about finding a setting, looking at the numbers and signing the paperwork. It's also about people. It's about the manager, the staff team, the families who already trust the nursery, and the children who need consistency. What really stood out to me from this conversation is how important it is to do your due diligence properly, but also how important it is to understand what you're stepping into before you take over. Because a nursery can look good on paper, but if you don't understand the finances, the staff structure, the Ofsted position, the manager's role, the parent relationships, and your responsibilities as the provider, you can easily walk into problems you weren't prepared for. So if you're preparing for Ofsted as a new provider or nominated individual, please don't treat it as something you can just wing. You need to understand safeguarding, leadership, EYFS, your legal responsibilities, and how you're going to make sure the nursery is safe, compliant, and well led. So if you're watching this because you're thinking about buying a nursery, taking over an existing setting, or preparing for your Ofsted registration visit, and you're not fully sure what you should be checking or how to prepare, please get in touch. I can help you look at your situation properly, understand the risks, prepare for Ofsted, and work out the right next steps before you make expensive mistakes. I'll leave the link below where you can get in contact with me, or you can click the link that's on the screen now. But I want to say a big thank you to Ruba, Kylie, and Mahatan, and the team at Bookworms Daycare for allowing me to come in, have this conversation, and show the nursery. And I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. God bless.